Well, good morning, everybody. It's fantastic that you are joining us for Scotland's Assembly. It's great to be back with you. Stephen did a brilliant job last time, and I was really disappointed to miss out on meeting our Olympic and Paralympic friends. But don't worry, all being well, Stephen is going to be able to join us in just a little bit. Well, as I'm sure you know, we are in the middle of COP26. All of our assemblies over the last little while have been thinking about the major themes of COP, and I bet you've been doing all sorts of fun, interesting, creative, exciting activities at school, all about COP and climate change and what we can do to make a difference. And that's what today is all about. We're going to, in just a minute, go to COP and a special film made for us just last night at the conference itself, telling us a little bit about some of the interesting things that are going on. And then, all being well, we've got some creative challenges for you because we know that you are such an amazing creative bunch, and we are hopefully going to play some little games, do some little challenges with you that help you think just how you can make a difference and how you can take new ideas about how we can make a difference in the world. But we are in just a second going to go to this special film made for us at COP. Now, you've probably seen on the news or maybe on News Round, your teachers have perhaps told you a little bit about what's going on at the conference. And there is the main conference, and that is where all the world leaders have been. Maybe you saw David Attenborough giving his speech. Maybe you saw one of the world leaders talking to all of the delegates. That's the people who attend COP. And that's a really important part of it. And that work's going to continue over the next few days as they try and make agreements about what all the countries of the world who are attending COP can do to make a difference to climate change. But sometimes it might feel like, well, it's just a lot of people in smart clothes talking, if you know what I mean. Well, COP isn't just about that, as important as that is. There's a whole nother part to COP called the COP Climate Fringe. And this is where loads of the kind of interesting, creative, artistic events are happening. And actually, loads and loads of people who are most affected by climate change. Countries where the effects of climate change and rising temperatures are making a real difference to their everyday lives. Well, they are taking part and their voices are being heard at the COP Fringe. And one of the events there, one of the areas is the Landing Hub. And it's a kind of creative arts venue with all sorts of different talks and activities. And so two people from the Landing Hub have made us a special film just for you guys to show you what it would be like if you were at COP and able to take part in some of the different events. But listen out for the end, because actually, if you are in and around Glasgow, if you are near there, they've got some ways that maybe you could join in this weekend. But don't worry if you're not, there's some things for you as well. But right now, let's watch this little film from the Landing Hub and see just what it's like if you were attending COP.
Process of elimination, zero understanding of the situation. Turn the clock says.
Hi everyone, my name is Kirsty and this is
Bex.
Hi! We are getting in contact with you from someplace in Glasgow called the Sustainable Glasgow Landing and the temporary event space within it called the Landing Hub. So myself and Bex, we programmed a series of events here that are taking place over COP26. Now we are not part of the main COP26 events in the blue zone and the green zone down by the SEC. We are part of something called the Fringe, the Climate Fringe, here at the Landing Hub. So we've created quite an exciting 17-day series of events here. We're speaking to lots of different people from all over the world. What have we had so far, Bex? What's been quite interesting for you?
Today we've had people from Cambodia, Brazil and Bangladesh talking about how they're trying to save their forests. Yesterday we had banner making with a Mexican artist called Gustavo, who is here in Scotland painting a mural for the Scottish Opera. And over the weekend we have got some family orientated fun, such as who likes to get messy? Yes. Who likes soil?
I like soil.
Yeah. Who likes to learn about soil? Learn about all the different types of soil that's in Scotland and particularly in Glasgow. This weekend we're going to be making some seed bombs that you can take home. We're going to be weaving some willow and we're going to be learning about the soil beneath our feet and we're going to be putting it under a microscope. And the microscope is then going to be projected onto big TVs in the space. And we're inviting you kids down to bring some leaves and some soil and some flowers to put under that microscope. What else have we got, Kirsty?
Whoa, this weekend, well, we've got some music as well later on, haven't we? And we've got some exciting workshops next week by a group of people called the COP Coalition.
COP Coalition.
Oh, and so, yeah, thank you. We've also got this cool thing from National Theatre of Scotland called Millipede, and it's making us think about our footprint. Oh my goodness, our footprint, our carbon footprint, the amount of carbon that what we do, what the things that we buy, and the places we go, the journeys that we make, how that creates carbon and how much of that kind of goes into the atmosphere and could potentially damage the environment. So there is a lot going on, and there has been quite a lot going on as well, but it's been very exciting. Now, when we were putting this programme together, it was quite a challenge for us. We didn't have a huge amount of time to do it, so we had to make quite a kind of firm plan. We wanted to make sure that the people from around the world, people's voices that often don't really get heard about the climate crisis, were heard and were platformed here. And I think there's been some really good talks so far, like you were saying.
In particular, Indigenous voices,
Yes.
so people who live with nature. That's their bread and butter, that's their everyday. They are the custodians, the guardians of the rainforest, a lot of them. And we've had them here in our space talking with us, telling us what they think we should be doing and how we can connect as a group of people all around the world to show solidarity with each other. And we would love it if you could come around this weekend and come and connect with us and hear these people's stories and make some things with us.
And if you can't make it this weekend, because some of you might not be in Glasgow or close to Glasgow, just try and do your research, folks, and just find out about what people are fighting against on the front line. Because quite often, I think us over and maybe in Scotland, we talk about climate change, and yes, maybe we feel it in our weather, but we're not seeing it as extremely as a lot of people in the world are. And I think in the past few days we've heard some really sad, actually really quite upsetting stories from people all around the world, but these are the really important things that we need to hear. So if you can, find out about people from these different countries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks so much. Come and see us.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Sorry about that, folks. Thanks brilliantly to everybody from the Landing Hub for making that film for us. It was great to be able to see just what was going on there, some of the cool creative activities. And if you are in or near Glasgow, why don't you try and head down over the weekend if you can and take part in what is going on. Well, before we give some challenges, because we know not all of you maybe are in or around Glasgow. In fact, lots of you probably aren't. So we've got some things that you can do. I just want to give a few shout outs. So good morning to everybody from Hotsbridge Primary who are joining us. The P67s from Ray North. Great to have all of you folks there with us as well. Invergary, you are with us. Big shout out to you guys. The P7s from Invergary. A P1 to 7 from Hotsbridge Primary are joining us. 16 are tuned in, and they are doing a climate change topic at just the moment. 22 P6s, I should say, from Invergary. 18 folks from Ray North as well. So if you're watching and want a bit of a shout out, do that. We'd love to hear in the chat where you are and how many are joining in. Okay, well, I know you wouldn't say, but I know it. You're missing Stephen already. I know, and that's fine. I'm missing Stephen as well. And Stephen has got some challenges, some creative challenges. He's going to tell you a little bit more about them. So Stephen, are you there?
I'm here.
Stephen?
I am here. I am here. I was outside, but the technology was not working. It didn't like it. It was too cold. I was out there with my coffee in the cold outside. It's beautiful today, but it is really cold. I was outside in the fields behind this little office that I'm sat in now. And the reason I was out there was because I wanted to show you something, which you can all imagine. It's a field. See, I told you could imagine it. It's a field. But this is not just a traditional field with sheep in it. This is the field in front of the mountain that's been carved out by the Ice Age all those thousands of years ago. Massive mountain next to it. It's beautiful. But instead of sheep, they're now keeping trees instead of sheep. They're turning it into forest, which is, of course, what it would have been hundreds of years ago before humans arrived in the area, chopped all the trees down, and then started keeping sheep in that area and growing nice grass and putting fences up and things like that. So this is one of the ways in which humans are beginning to adapt. And adapt means to change. It means to see something's different over here, we need to change with it. And so all over Scotland right now, there are all kinds of little tiny things happening, which you might not think are huge things, but which are all helping towards climate change. And this is one of them. Because in those forests behind me, in a few years' time, maybe some of the bigger trees will take 20, 30, 50 years to grow if it's an oak tree. Those trees are going to be sucking in all that carbon dioxide out of the air and putting it back into the ground and locking it in. And that is an amazing thing that will help global warming and help all of our emissions that we've already put out into the atmosphere. And it seems so simple. It's such a little thing. So the question is, if you can't buy a whole farmer's field and sell the sheep and then grow trees, what can you do? Well, I'm fairly sure every school in Scotland has an eco-council, has a group of learners responsible for making decisions. Even if it's not the eco-council, it might be the pupil council. It might be that you've got a decision to make in your classroom. So the big thing is, what can you do to make sure that all those decisions and choices you make are helping you guys adapt and helping your school adapt, helping your parents adapt, helping your homes adapt, helping your city adapt, so that you can be doing your bit for climate change? It can be quite difficult. So if I say climate change to you, you need to change one thing, and I let you all think about that, I reckon most of you will come up with the word recycling. That'll be in there. That'll be a big, big, big one. Okay, and that's important. That's taken us a long time to get there. Nobody recycled when I was your age. We're like, what? What is recycling? Never heard of it. But now we know how to recycle. But how do we get beyond that? How do we think of more ideas? So we're going to give you 3 creative challenges this morning. 3 creative challenges that you can use, whether you're 6, 10, 50, 99, through your entire lives, to try and help you and all the people around you be more creative with your thinking. And these are part of your creativity skills of being curious, ask good questions, being open-minded. Ooh, what happened? Can we change that? I didn't think we could. Maybe we can. Being imaginative, what a great idea. And then problem solving. When you all of that, you apply it to something and actually do something with it, rather than having 500 fantastic stories in your head that you're never going to write. So this is about doing something with it. So here's your first creative challenge, and you're actually going to do this one just now. Okay, so there might be a little bit of talking. There will be a lot of talking. You can turn to your neighbor, do it in 2s. You're going to share your ideas, and here is your challenge. You may have heard of brainstorming, which is when you think of lots and lots of ideas around something. And that could be okay. That could be really, really, really helpful if it's done well. But sometimes, to get you really thinking creatively, you need to go outside of that. And you are going to be queststorming, which is brainstorming questions. So you have 2 minutes, which is not very long, but can feel like forever if you're doing something really boring. But this is not. This is going to be exciting. So you're going to be doing this really quickly, really, really, really quickly. You have to come up with as many questions as you can around your school or your home, where you are, wherever you are right this minute, your classroom. What could you do to do with climate change in this classroom? Ask all the questions. And they could be things like, why is that made of plastic? Why are we drinking out of reusable bottles? Why aren't we using reusable bottles? Why does the yogurt pot at lunchtime come in a plastic tub? Why can't we have it in something else? I want you to come up with as many questions as possible. There might not be an answer. It doesn't matter. The question's what's important. So here's your 2 minutes about to start. Go.
Okay, folks, we're just coming up to the end. Just coming up to the end there. Got about 15. There you go. Okay, everybody. Now we know that maybe some people, the timers are just finishing depending on when you, what your internet connection is like. But I do think that's probably everybody back there. Right, Stephen, hopefully you can hear me. We are starting to get some ideas through on the chat. So we have, why don't we compost our waste food? Why do we have plastic bottles? Why don't we have more plants in our school grounds? They're all from Invergowrie, so thank you. to those guys, and I'm sure more will be popping through in a second. I was thinking, Stephen, and I was just looking at all what's around me. Why are all my pens made of plastic? That's what I thought of.
That's a great one. I know you can get bamboo pens, bamboo toothbrushes, bamboo, all kinds of things nowadays. So that's really sustainable because it grows really quickly.
Cool.
Great.
Hotsbridge Primary say, why do we have plastic trays on our desks? Why do we laminate, says Invergary. Why do we have plastic rulers?
These are all great questions. I think everyone's obsessed with plastic today.
Yeah, I think so.
Great. Well, those are really good. And the great thing about that is you're learning that creativity needs hard work, because you have to keep asking the questions. You can't give up, go, oh, I've got 3 questions, can't think of any more. You have to keep going. Even if you have a quiet time where you're not sure, you have to keep going.
Excellent. e-Sgoil, big shout out to those guys. They are joining us there. Your question was, why do most things come in plastic packaging? It's true. It's true. I don't know, Stephen. Maybe you haven't got around to this yet, but Ahas said, shh, don't tell my daughter. But we've started doing a little bit of, maybe a little bit of Christmas shopping. Shh, don't tell her. Everything comes in plastic. You order something from the internet, and the packaging is stuffed full of plastic. So I totally get where Arnage are coming from. They're also asking, why don't we use glass bottles rather than plastic ones? Invergary, why don't we have a recycling bin in the lunch hall? All great questions.
So what's fantastic about all those questions is that some of them, there'll be a really good reason. So for example, why do we have glass instead of plastic? Well, glass can be dangerous. So there's a really good reason for that. But sometimes that reason's been forgotten, or there isn't a reason, or actually now is the time when we've got glass that doesn't break easily and we can use it. So sometimes people do what's always been done, and you asking these questions is the way to get right underneath them and to challenge that and to find the changes that can be made. So if you're on any of the eco councils making any decisions, or you're talking about this with your family, ask lots of great questions. Shall I move on to the second one now?
Brilliant, thanks.
So the second challenge is a really fun one. You'll like this. Our brains are built to go, here's a question, here's the answer. What's your name? My name is Stephen. It's a good job I remember that. Most days I need to know that. So what happens is that your brain, because it's full of these things called neurons, which are pathways of thought, pathways of electrical thinking, and they make connections that are really big, really thick, and really strong, like a motorway. To be creative, what is my name? I know, I'm going to change it for something else. That's really hard to do, actually. You have to try and get off the motorway. And if you've ever been in the car with your parents on a motorway, or your family's with a motorway, it can be hard to get off the motorway when you want to. So sometimes it's hard to get onto the little country roads in your head. So that's what this one is for. Your question is this: what can we do to help climate change in our classroom, our school, or our home, wherever we are? But you're going to flip the challenge. So the challenge now is, what can we do to make it worse? What can I do in where I am now? What decisions could I take? What could I do differently? What would make it worse? What are all the things I could do to make climate change even worse? That's your challenge. So I want you to think as imaginatively, come up with funny ideas, great ideas. I want you to come up with as many ideas as possible, share them in the chat. And what would be interesting is to see which ones of them we're actually doing and we hadn't noticed. Go!
Okay, folks, depending on your timer, you should probably be coming up to the end. So last few ideas, pop them in the chat. Okay, and fantastic, everybody. This was great. So here are some ideas. Hopefully Stephen can pop up on the screen. Here we go. We have stop recycling and cut down lots of trees. P67 and Rain North, I think that would make it a lot worse. What else do we have? I like turn everything electrical on, says Hotspridge. Laminate everything, says Hotspridge. Just laminate everything. If you can catch it and hold it down, laminate it. Drop loads of litter. Start wasting food. What else do we have? Keep the lights on when they're not needed. Keep the computers on. Don't open the blinds, just turn the lights on. Print loads of pages that we don't need. Cut down all the trees. Eat all the squirrels. Have even more cars. Use loads of plastic. These are some great ideas. I'm really enjoying these. Leave the smart board on. Put everything in the car everywhere. Sorry, they're coming in so thick and fast. I can't keep up with
I want to know
what, but these are great.
I want to know why the squirrels are the folk getting that. Why squirrels? Why squirrels in particular? I'm not even sure how squirrels are helping climate change. I'm very
just a minute.
about
Stephen,
that one.
Stephen, stop, Stephen. This is terrible. This shows that they didn't say eat the squirrels. They said eat all the squirrels' nuts. I got it wrong. Don't eat the squirrels. That's a terrible idea.
Now, you say that's a terrible idea, but
that was the
one
point.
of the really interesting things about climate change is that eating meat, eating burgers, cows, actually uses a huge amount of water and a huge amount of land, and it also puts a huge amount of methane, because they're very smelly, huge amount of methane into the atmosphere, which really doesn't help with global warming. So actually, one of the things you could do is to go out and do what we did hundreds of years ago. No, we're not eating squirrels. We should not be eating squirrels.
Please don't. No, we should definitely not do that.
What you might want to do, though, is eat insects. Just like if you've ever watched The Lion King, Simba does in The Lion King when he meets Pumbaa and Timon. He eats all the bugs and the insects. And I have eaten some beautiful insects. They're dried, they come in a tub, they've got beautiful flavoring on them, and they're gorgeous. And they are really, really good for the environment because you can have billions of them in a small space. They don't use any water almost, and they're really, really, really good for the environment. And one of the big issues with the environment is that we're eating all this meat and it's cutting down trees to make room for the cows and the cattle and everything. So that's where we're losing a lot of jungle and rainforest to the cows. So actually, eating the squirrels was not far off what we should be doing. But yes, if you flip the challenge, what that then shows you is it hints at things that you can be doing, and it also makes sure you can check up all the things you shouldn't be doing. So we're going to move on to our third challenge now. This is called In Another World. Now, there are kind of different ways you can do this, but it's all about getting outside your own head into someone else's, imagining you're someone else. So you might say, what would Scooby-Doo do? Yeah? And think, what would Scooby-Doo and Shaggy do to change climate change and to tackle it? What could they do differently? Well, they could stop eating hot dogs and hamburgers for starters. So they could go vegetarian or vegan. I think Shaggy would be quite into that. What would Nelson Mandela do? What would your great Auntie Nellie do? You know, think, what would someone else do? Another thing you do is, what would we do if we were in the army, not a school? What would we do if we were running a supermarket instead of a school? So these are really, what if we were on a submarine? What could we do to help the environment on a submarine? That's really hard, but there will be things. What would we do if we lived in a desert? So you can think of these things through. So today I want you to just do a really, really easy one. I want you to imagine that you were the king or the queen of schools, and you could do anything. You could change everything and anything like that. Like Thanos with his gauntlet on click your fingers and it would all have changed. You're going to have 2 minutes. Or if you were the king or queen of schools, what would you change right now, today, right across the whole of Scotland? Go.
Okay, folks, we're getting towards the end of your time. We would love to hear some of your answers in the chat, so just a few more seconds. Okay, everybody, your time, I think, is probably just finishing, depending on your internet there. We have a few answers. Ooh, what do we have? Rain North School is saying ban single-use, one-use water bottles. Here we go. Oh, lots more coming up now. They're all pinging through on mine. Hotspitch Primary, have the playground as a forest. That's a great one. Invergary, stop using chemicals in the school grounds. Rain North again, ban cars coming in to collect people from school unless they are electric cars or buses. Use less plastic. Planting more trees from Invergary. Install renewables in our school buildings. Don't use plastic sanitizer bottles. I'm sure everybody's doing lots of hand sanitizing at school at the moment. Loads of great ideas there.
There's some great ideas there, Tom. Fantastic. And do you know, you might be able to influence that locally where you are. I love that plastic hand sanitizer thing. You could buy, one of the things you can do with shampoos and things is to buy a massive bottle and then put it into the reusable bottle, the ceramic or the or at least a plastic one that you're going to reuse all the time. So that can cut down on a lot of plastic. So maybe that's something that the school can do. They can buy a big one and then put it into the little ones and reuse the little ones rather than just putting them in the bin. That would be a really great thing that you can probably start kind of talking to people about today. So yeah, brilliant ideas.
Fantastic. Couple more, Stephen. Invergary saying if your house is within 15 minutes, walk to school, not laminating things, having a compost bin. All of they were from Invergary, the P6s there. So fabulous ideas. Really impressed everybody. I think actually, from the sounds of it, it'd be pretty great if you guys were the king or queens of schools.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just to say again, there's so many fantastic ideas out there. So all of these things that you try and change, they will come with we can't do that because, and there's usually a reason behind it, but usually that reason, there's a way around it, whether it be a mixture of two things or whether it's going and thinking about it differently. So for example, traveling on the streets in the morning when it's a little bit dark can be dangerous if you're cycling to school sometimes, but there are things called cycle convoys, which we heard about from Professor Balance the other week, where everybody kind of just meets the chain, and it's almost like a bicycle bus that goes through the village. And then in Bangladesh, they have a real issue with flooding, so that for about 3 months of the year, nobody can get to the schools. So what did they do? They put the school on a boat, and they literally go along the flooded rivers and through the flooded areas and pick up people at their front door, and you join the school on the boat. So there's always a way around it. There's always a great idea waiting to be discovered. And you are the generation, you're the children, you're the people who are going to discover them.
Fantastic. I've got one more that I want to just give a shout out from Arnage School. They said, don't give out homework so you don't use paper. But then Mr. Craig chimed in and said, but we give you homework online now. So there
Fantastic. Nice try. Nice try. A really good try.
Good, yeah. Nice one, Arnage. Okay, well, thank you so much, Stephen, for the creative challenges. And can they use these for different things that maybe aren't so much to do with climate change? Do you think you could give us an example? Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot, Stephen, of a way that they could use these, maybe about a decision in the classroom or in their school, I wonder, because these aren't just about climate change, these little activities.
Absolutely. You can use these about any decision. It could be about whether you do homework or not. It could be if you have a conversation, if you as learners feel really strongly about something, use these tools, flip the challenge. Imagine if we wanted more homework, what would that be like? You know, flip the challenge. Imagine you're someone else looking at it from a different perspective, and do the quest storming. Why do we do homework? What if it was like this? Why isn't it like that? Why is it like this? And do you know what? There'll always be really great ideas underneath that waiting to happen, because quite often, especially us grown-ups, we're like, oh, well, it can either be that or that. It's either homework or no homework. No, there's 1,000 different types of homework waiting to be discovered. That, you know, that maybe it's just about how you do it and when you do it and why you do it. And so, yeah, these questions can be used for everything in your entire life, and you can use them on your own. If you're not sure what to do about something, do this yourself. If you're in a group and you're not sure what to build in Minecraft, do this yourselves. If you're in a group in a school or a classroom, do this as a whole group, and get your teachers and get your grown-ups doing it with you, because you're in charge.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Stephen. It's great to have you with us today, setting us the challenges. Okay, everybody. Well, we're just coming up to the end of our time, but I want to show you our learning spaces that go along with our theme of adaptation. So I am just going to share my screen. There we go. So you will know that if just below where you're watching this, that we have our learning spaces. Here's the first level one that you can see. Here is the second level one. And I just want to point out a couple of different little bits. You'll notice some poppies on both of them. There are some things for you to explore as we come up to Remembrance Day. Hopefully, if you've checked them out, you'll spot something a little bit spooky lurking around their corners to take you to our spooky sort of Halloween and guising themed special edition learning spaces. But what I wanted to show you is if you click on our Scottish Primary Schools Countdown to COP, what is going to ping up is this. And if you click on the magnifying glass, there, first thing you're going to get is the map and all of the different themes. Make sure you get your teacher or your grown-up to click on the little envelope there so you can get yourself added to the map. But today's theme is adaptation and resilience, and that's to do with how we change and how we change things. So when you click on it, here are all of your activities and different things that you can explore. And I won't take up too much of your time going through them. I just wanted to show you one or two. And if you look at the little hands holding the seedling there, young Scott have got a film here about growing our own food. We can change the amount of food that we buy in shops by growing some food. If you click on the light bulb, what can you do to help look after our planet? What big and small changes can you make? And I know that you've got all sorts of ideas because we just proved it. And if you want to tell us your ideas, go back to the map, click on the little envelope, and you can do that there. This seedling down here, Emma Watson, the actress, telling us about the global goals there. Small things do add up. Just a little thing to get you thinking about small changes that you can make. And then all of these magnifying glasses take you to different videos, things to get you thinking about different environments, different habitats, different ways of thinking about how we can be more sustainable. Right, and if I pop back here and stop sharing my screen, all that is left is to say thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for taking part so well in the creative challenges. It was great to see all of your answers on the chat. Of course, if maybe you're joining us for the first time, you want to look back at all of our COP assemblies. They're there on the same webpage that you are watching this, and you can get to all of the learning spaces in the way that I just showed you. If you are near Glasgow and are thinking of checking things out at the COP Climate Fringe, do go visit our friends at the Learning Hub. But if you're not, you can still take part in COP in all sorts of different ways. Look at the learning spaces, do a little bit of research as well. Well, thank you for joining us, everybody. It's been great to spend a little time with you, and we hope you have a really brilliant rest of the Friday. Bye for now.